So my blog post yesterday was about the possibility, as you just pointed out, of Natalie Jaresko becoming prime minister. Now, there certainly is public support for that, but at the same time, up until now, there's not. It has only been something talked about. What if? Wouldn't that be great? Now there's actually a possibility of it coming to realization. Essentially, what's happened after the February 16th session of Parliament is that Yatseniuk has been weakened. His days are numbered. He's a lame duck. In the best case, he still may be removed. He could actually be removed on a no-confidence vote against him individually. So his future is not even set till the end of summer. So with that certainty and the fact that they clearly have the votes to remove Yatseniuk, and they've had those for some time, the problem has been that no one can agree on who replaces him. So we all agree the guy's got to go, but the question is who comes next. So they, as they say, they stick with the devil they know because there's certain advantages to that predictability. Now, what's happened was initially, right after the vote of no confidence, the failed vote of no confidence against the government on February 16th, the president started floating the name of Speaker Volodymyr Groysman. Groysman is the former mayor of Vinnytsia, which of course is Poroshenko's hometown. They're close politically. Poroshenko sees Groysman as a protege of sorts, maybe even a successor down the road. So the president started floating the trial balloon of Groysman. It didn't really go anywhere, though. It's more of the same, and there is a sense that we have enough Poroshenko right now. Let's not get over invested here. Let's see more results, and then we'll be willing to take more. And also coming out of the Yanukovych regime, where you had this overabundance of Donetsk people in the government, there's a growing worry about too many Vinnytsia people now. So that's just kind of whether it's the Bush family, there's too many Texans in the administration or whatever. That's a natural tendency in politics, but that's certainly taking place in Ukraine. So there's a sense of too much Vinnytsia right now and too much Poroshenko team. And that being said, there's the practical problem with Groysman is that you've got to get the votes. Now, Yatseniuk, he is a lame duck, but what he does have the ability to do is influence who is actually going to replace him. So in those 81 votes in his faction, the People's Front, those votes will essentially decide who becomes the next prime minister, because otherwise, to form a government, you have to get support of the oligarchs, or you've got to get support of opposition bloc. Now, you can't, logically conceive of how the opposition bloc could be in this government and the government be a pro-European government at this point. So essentially that's Yatseniuk's big trump card, and he's playing it to the hilt, and wisely so. So he's, because of this, these 81 votes will determine, who's the next prime minister. He's playing his cards wisely. Could he vote for Groysman? Maybe. Tymoshenko and Samopomych have said that they would be willing to support Groysman under certain circumstances. Now, for Samopomych, that circumstance is, we'll support him as prime minister, but we get the speaker's job. We get his job as Speaker of Parliament. So we don't know what Tymoshenko's demands are. Radicals potentially also, Leszek could potentially support, could also potentially support Groysman. The problem is, though, even if you add up those three factions, you're going to be more than 20 votes short of a majority. So you got to get 226 votes. Maybe they could bring some independents in, maybe one of the oligarch factions, but there's just not that many places to find those votes. So that 81 vote faction is a big veto on the next prime minister. So that's a problem for Groysman. It's also a bigger problem for Mikheil Saakashvili. Saakashvili's attacks that began in autumn on Yatseniuk certainly have taken a toll, and they weakened Yatseniuk. However, Saakashvili, in a way, shot himself in the foot because, again, there's no way to become prime minister without new elections, because there's no way Yatseniuk's going to vote for Saakashvili at this point, because he sees him as part of the group that has been pushing him out the door. So Saakashvili is definitely out. He for one favors new elections. He has been very low-key in Kyiv these days. In fact, most of the time, he and the Odesa state administration, his crew, they've been traveling around the country doing an anti-corruption forum. So they've been to Zhytomyr and Khmelnytskyi and Vinnytsia and Kharkiv and so forth. So they're on the road traveling, talking about anti-corruption issues, preparing for the next election. Then, as I mentioned in the blog, there was one kind of dynamic move where the president dispatched Igor Grinov, a Poroshenko bloc MP, longtime MP, intelligent politician. He was dispatched on a private jet to Warsaw. In Warsaw, he met privately with Leszek Balcerowicz, who is he's held a multitude of posts in Poland, finance minister, national bank chairman, and vice premier a couple times. Most of all, though, he's famous for the Polish shock therapy of the early 90s, which essentially were painful reforms that took place over a 6-month period, but they prepared the groundwork for the economic growth that Poland has experienced since, and the huge investment. It's one of the big contrasts in foreign investment in Poland versus foreign investment in Ukraine. It's about 3 times more over the last 20 years. So Balcerowicz was proposed the job, and he immediately poured cold water on the idea and said, "Thanks, but no thanks. I support Natalie Jaresko, and I'd be happy to serve as an advisor to her." So out of options and out of votes, Natalie Jaresko is the only candidate at the moment who could actually get enough votes to be confirmed. Now, Yatseniuk would like to stay. He considers Jaresko part of his team, but with the realization that I'm either going to go in 6 weeks or 6 months, there's a certain power to choosing your own successor. And so I think he's warming to the idea. There's the task of finding something for Yatseniuk, maybe now or maybe down the road. That's one task, but that's doable. In a Jaresko administration, Yatseniuk would have more influence than he would in a Groysman administration, for example. And I'll say this: I mean, I have some disappointment with Yatseniuk in some ways. On the other hand, I think historically, history will view his performance as better than people do at the moment. He's got a 2% approval rating, but politics is a blood sport. It's brutal. You don't always get appreciated for what you do at the moment. So I think history will judge him better. He'll play maybe a great cardinal role in a Jaresko administration if that comes to be. But clearly for him, it's the best move he's got. A Jaresko prime ministership looks increasingly possible. The oligarchs and the vested financial interests may still move to block that. But the advantage he also has, and this is key, is in a parliamentary vote to confirm the prime minister, basically there is no faction outside of opposition bloc that can vote against her and be viewed in the light of being a pro-Western, pro-reform party. Saakashvili, if they voted against her, that would certainly have people thinking about Saakashvili in a different way. And then all of a sudden, the rumors about, well, Kolomoisky partially funds them and all this, then people start to believe those rumors. Right now they're just rumors, but you vote against Jaresko and then it calls those rumors into question. Same thing with Radical Party, same thing with Tymoshenko, except in Tymoshenko's case, it would look very, very petty, and it would once again call into question her ambitions and so forth. So no party outside of opposition bloc can really afford to vote against Jaresko's prime minister. I could see a 300 vote, margin if they put it to a vote. The question is, will they put it to a vote, and or will the oligarchs be able to block that somehow at the last minute?